What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Knoxville Nights. It is episode 24. After a kind of an unscheduled week off, we're back. We have all three of us back together again, and we're joined by Knoxville Raceway track crew member Brad Shearer this week. So we have a lot to catch up on, some interesting stuff to talk through about what it's like to get the Knoxville Raceway ready for competition every week. Make sure if you're watching us live, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe wherever you're watching: Facebook, YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Twitter, TikTok, all the places. So make sure you like and subscribe. Be remiss if we didn't start the show off today. It is a sad day in sprint car racing. Got the news this morning that 1990 Knoxville Nationals champion Bobby Allen passed away. So want to extend our thoughts with everybody in the Allen family, Shark Racing. It's a big blow. You could see the love that the sprint car world has been sharing about Bobby this week, or today rather. So I just wanted to mention that here at the top of the show. On a little bit lighter note, I would want to wish my grandfather and Knoxville Raceway Hall of Famer, former track announcer Jack Herwehe. It's his birthday today, so I know that he's always watching. So happy birthday, Grandpa! Boys, like I said, it's good to get back together with you. It's been a while since we had us three. And Brad, welcome to the show. And I know we used to seeing you every week down at the racetrack. So how's it going, man? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Just keeping busy, working away. Weather's been beautiful and just taking advantage of all the nice days we can get.
Absolutely. Going to run out of those pretty soon. I know that it's been nice or even hot here while I was out of town here, but yeah, we're going to be wishing we had the summer weather here in a couple weeks. But yeah, I just want to kind of kick everything off here, Brad. Really just kind of want to hear a little bit about you, tell us your story, how you got involved at Knoxville and yeah, how everything got started for you.
Well, for starters, it would, family. My dad used to race stock cars and stuff. He helped out with Lee Nelson back in the day. He was actually part of the 360 Nationals championship run with him, and feel good stories if you would. I grew up not really going to the races, but I always loved them, and so I'd sit outside in the backyard with my supper by myself and just listen to the cars roam around, and just a deep burning fire for motors, I guess, or noise. Probably the noise part more than anything, but I just hung around long enough, and I got to know Davey Heskin a little bit, and just camaraderie with him. And he was fortunate enough to. I was fortunate enough to have him let me hang out in the pits, if you would. I just scrape mud and hang out. Go grab fuel. I didn't even put fuel in the car, so I'd change a shock. I could grab a tire. I could scrape mud, and I could be in the way. So they just allowed some little kid to live out his dream of being at the racetrack, and it ventured on from there to a buddy of mine from high school. We had run track together, and his dad worked for Chris Duncan, my boss, and just then again another flea on the dog, and I just didn't leave. And well, if you're going to be here, may as well hire you. So or you could say the rest is history, but Heskin kind of took me in the beginning stages and helped really fuel my desire for dirt track racing. And then Chris took me under his wing, and I've been able to follow him or learn from him, and he's been more of like an asset style of dad and mentor through most of my upbringing, if you would, the last 12, 13 seasons there, I guess. I think it's been 13 seasons now. So first one fully employed there would have been in 2013. So yeah, thanks to him, I've had a lot of opportunities. So
good one to learn from, that's for sure.
What goes in, obviously track prep crew, the Duncans are considered the best in the country, as I think they are. But there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to track prep. I think a lot of people think it's either easier than it is said than done. And people just have a lot of thoughts about it. What are some of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to prepping Knoxville that you've heard from fans, drivers, crew members, et cetera, just kind of throughout the whole thing?
Well, to quote Chris, first of all, it's not a cake recipe. It's not the same ingredients with the same oven every week. many factors go in. Did it rain this week? Did it rain last week? How many cars are we going to have this week? What's the humidity and dew point going to be? We have trucks that break down from time to time, so we have to switch equipment around, or people have to leave. So I would say that people are like, do what you did last week. Like, okay, well, if I did what I did last week it was dry as could be, and this week it was wet. So I mean, are we going to flood the place out, or it's really easy to like do. I call hindsight's perfect vision. You know what you could have done, or everybody has their opinion, if you would. It's like if I told Cade to change, switch to a 7-off. I just learned what a 7-off was when we went to Wisconsin with Matt. Like, I don't know. Like, add more water over here. Like, well, okay, no, that's not going to work. So, I think people think we just show up about noon and you just start putting water on there like it's Sunday drive, and it's way more scientific than that. It doesn't even start with the watering. It starts with the blading. Chris, he's the main blade guy. Obviously, he's the guy in charge. He's done it. I think this was his 45th season at Knoxville, maybe 44th. He's right around there. It starts with the blade, keeping it smooth, cutting off the high spots, filling in the low spots. We sheep foot a ton, trying to get it hard, blade it, put dirt in the holes, roll it over, sheep foot it again, just get a hard surface, because a hard, smooth surface to us is safe and it's racier. So safety is in mind and the show is in mind, because for the drivers, you guys are going to adapt, but for the fans, what do the fans want to see? Well, we'd like to see safety and no one get hurt, and then have a smooth operation. It also makes our life easier. So I'd just say it's not the same from week to week, and not knowing how many cars there's going to be. Like, are the Outlaws nearby? Like, if we have, like, when the All-Stars were around and it would be late July, so the All-Stars are here, ASCS is down here, they don't have a weekend, and then, it looks like it's going to rain for the Outlaws. Like, we're going to have 67 cars, we're going to have 93 cars. And so you got to keep that in the back of your mind the whole day of what you're going to do. And then, we're always watching the weather. He's checking his phone. Did so-and-so rain out? I mean, some people have spare cars here, like, because 410s make a huge difference. Like, a prelim night for 360 Nationals compared to a prelim night for 410 Nationals, like 360s, they don't throw it near as far or as quick. So we call it tight blading. We still go through the same motion and process, but there's a lot of variables that go into it. And so our minds are working more than we are, just trying to figure out what we're going to do and what our next step is. And then sure enough, Mother Nature can throw a curveball at you. It's been sunny and dry all day, and you're watering your butt off all day. And then all of a sudden the sun goes away and the clouds come out and humidity spikes up. And then, one lane till, second heat of the 410, like, well, it's going to last for the feature, but there's a happy medium. So I think that's a good start. There's too many variables to I guess even scenarios to express them all, but it's a very methodical thinking process more than it is the actual act of doing.
So obviously fans and us, we get to the racetrack, a lot of your work's already done, right? So take us kind of through what a week looks like for you guys after the races are over. So starting Saturday night through the next Saturday, what's a typical week look like for you guys in the middle of a race season?
Sure. So Saturday night, I'd say first thing, we've pretty much already observed the racetrack during its race time that night to just see what it's like, if we've had a rut, if we've had a cushion build up, if this track's tearing apart. Certain dirts have done different things throughout the time. And see if we need to do anything, and we might converse, like, what are you doing tomorrow? So typically Chris will blade the track the night of the race if there's a chance of rain overnight or early in the morning the next day, because dirt, as Cade knows, with the moisture content, you have to act on it at certain time to do certain things. And it's a pain to blade during the race, like right after the races with fans around. Like, not that it's on a weekly show, it's not as big of a deal, but like, thankfully for our gate guys, I've asked, Nancy, Matt and Josh, like, hey, multiple times, would you guys be willing to stay and help us out? Because Chris and I will be out there blading. And when you got thousands of fans walking around in golf carts and stuff, and they don't watch, they buzz right through, so it's more of a pain. We don't like doing it, but sometimes we'll have to work on the track the next morning. So like on a Sunday, typically Chris will go up there. I have gone up there. Terry can go up there, but I'd say like the last call is like, hey, honey, for Chris, to Brenda, I know you probably don't want to go work at the track on a Sunday morning, but the guys just worked all weekend. Would you do me a solid? And she does. So she'll go up there and run a sheepfoot whenever the time comes that he needs somebody. And but there's quite a few of us, and we all help each other out and fill in. But yeah, so it'll be starting with blading the track. Let's say it's a smooth operation. We'll blade the racetrack, and then pretty much just let it sit until, let's say if it's just a normal Saturday race, Friday, let's say about noon. I don't work Fridays. I work 410s in the summer for my full-time job. And unless we have track rentals, which we seem to have more and more of those about each year. But we would start watering at noon or 1, and then usually get done around dark because, the sunlight kills us. If we were to water it in the morning, it's going to be dry and crusty on top. So we'd water it all day because the track, it really looks glossy or shiny after the race that most people see, but it'll get like a milk chocolate brown or something, or a lighter brown, and it'll get 1/4-inch gaps in it depending on how dry and sunny it's been and lack of humidity. And water, we'll have cracks 4 inches down or 3 inches or whatever the circumstances are. And we try and get as much moisture in the track as we can, so we've got plenty to work with. So the sheepfoot goes in all the way. We can, if there's a hole, we can cut it out and fill it. I mean, you want all of your material basically the same. So one or two of us, Matt and I, will tend to water on a Friday. The new truck they got us can put out a lot more water, so we can get Friday night's watering done a little bit quicker. And then I'd say usually the next morning, I usually show up at 6. That's when I normally start work, so I get up there at 6 o'clock in the morning. There's always something to do. You can go around, you can clean drains, you can reblade the infield, you can start sheepfooting. I can add more water to it if I need to, preventative maintenance and stuff like that, checking oils and stuff. So, if I can get everything fueled up and ready to go for the guys, and we don't have downtime later on if it matters. Or, and then weather pending again. That's our ultimate boss. If there's no chance of rain, we'll probably keep it wet until lunchtime, and then we'll sheepfoot the track. We try and blade and sheepfoot every race day, just a good final coating or whatever you want to call it. But if it's been soft the week before, or if the weather's not playing out right, we might sheepfoot it first thing in the morning and then keep it wet and then sheepfoot it again. Just really, especially in those first through May or something, we're still trying to get it hard to our liking. So blade, sheepfoot, sometimes we'll get a water truck out there and we'll roll it down. It makes it a little bit harder, ties it down depending, but if we're going to have a boatload of cars, we won't really roll it down as much because he'll want more loose dirt. And I guess that might tie into something that you asked earlier, like misconceived idea. The water, all I do with the water truck is I'm just keeping it wet. Chris has taught me that the dirt that he leaves on the track is, that's the key. So if we leave, we're going to till the bottom, but around up from it, we usually tight blade. So the cars buzz over it, stay off the bottom so the bottom can come in later. And then depending on how many rounds and how much dirt we leave is the progression that the track moves up. So it's not necessarily always a matter of more water or less water. And I think this would speak for most tracks, but it's the amount of dirt you have, because it's a continuously building cushion. So I'll jump to the tillers then. We've got 2 tillers on 2 tractors. Chris will always do the bottom because the bottom can make or break your night. It's either dominant or not enough. And then knowing how much, how far out, how wet, all sorts of stuff, because, it could be a 1-lane freight train, or, they all buzz the top and then it lays rubber later on. So he puts all the pressure on himself, and he does the last load of water for the day. He does the blading, and he does the bottom till. Like, anything that can make or break, he is like, it's on me. I take this responsibility. I mean, and he wears it. He wears it through and through. And then, basically I'd say I do most of the watering, but I mean, Matt and them, they help out. We all work together, but we all have our role. Terry runs the tiller, Chris runs the blade. I do the watering, like crunch time watering, like from the time that we finish blading until race time. Because just like I said with that dirt, when he blades the racetrack, it leaves those grooves at like 7 foot apart, whatever the grader wheels are spaced at. Well, the water truck's the same. Well, if I'm sliding around and I keep running over his dirt the whole time, there's no more loose dirt left, and then the cars are buzzing the cushion off the get-go. So, and other guys can do what I do. It's just, I just know what I want to do, and I've got my system and, method. And so I run it that time of the day, and they go till or get the infield wet or bladed or whatever that needs to be done. So we kind of go from needing 2 guys to 4 guys to 2 guys to 4 guys. It really depends. I mean, it's all on weather. So like, I need you guys here periodically, like throughout the whole day. So, and then we watch. We go up on the observation tower. Bob lets us get up there since they took our water fill. He gave us a little thank you, I guess, if that's what we want to call it. But they always let us go up there and observe the track for hot laps and time trials, and we go over for heats, and we just constantly observe. Like, we're always driving around on our side by sides to see what the track's doing, and just think like, we're gonna split ends with the road graders, or we're gonna go get the tiller out, or if I need to go take the skid loader and pick slabs up, or a Skeeter does that or something. So that's basically our process without going into every detail.
This is kind of a loaded question because you guys don't really miss all that often, but I'll kind of let you take it how you want it. But you guys get a lot of shit the way it is. I know you tell me several times a week that people are bitching even when the track's good. But on the nights that you guys actually do miss it, how hard is it to kind of take that criticism? And I mean, Knoxville is a pretty highly watched place, and people really totally shit on you guys when you miss it.
Well, I would say we take it depending on the approach. If you've got, there's other podcasters out there that just run their mouth and they spit fire because they're entitled to their own opinion and they think that they're the best in the world. And then you've got people who come up and ask you a question. What's your approach? So, like, for instance, with you, or, Brown, Delansky, Wasowski, McCarl, I've had good interactions with all of them. I've had some that aren't as big a name that we get approached by, but it's more of like, if you come at us with a high intensity level and you just start being a jerk, we will probably not really care about your opinion. But if you come with us and we can, like, let's dissect it. Like, let's see where we think we went wrong, and let's see what you think. Don't just come in and tell me like, hey, Cade, you'll run a 4 off at Knoxville and 15 inches of stagger. That's stupid. You're never going to do that. So, hey, what do you run at Knoxville? What do you think would make your car turn better? That approach. But ultimately, you're probably not. I mean, their words, they really don't make a difference because we care about the track. Like, we don't let people's opinions tell us whether we're successful or not. We're like, oh, man, that sucked. That's not what we wanted. And we beat ourselves up. Or sometimes we can't sleep, or we're staying up trying to think of other ways and just question things. Like, we're always, kind of like, even when you won, like, man, I should have won by an extra car length though. Like, what can I do to be better? I'd say we're more of that mentality. And it doesn't mean that we are the best. Everybody has work to do and that can be better. So pretty much, like, if it's going to lay rubber, or, if the bottom's like super dominant, we've pretty much got our reason as to why it happened the way it did. And, I mean, people's outside noise, I mean, yeah, I can get to you if you let it, or you can kind of play along with it a little bit, I suppose. But end of the day, whether they were saying something or not, we we probably beat ourselves up more than anybody else could, throw fire at us, if you would. So, yeah, but constructive criticism, let's just have an open conversation, and that probably gets most places.
What does the off season look like for you guys? It might be a dumb question, but obviously we're not racing. But I mean, here in October and November, this week now it's finally getting cold. We're getting to the temperatures that we kind of saw back in the springtime. Are you guys out there in January when it's not snowing? Like when do you guys touch the track at all during the off season in the winter?
Yeah, so the earliest that we've been on the track, I know Chris and I have been on the track probably 3 times and 2 times for sure in February. I think 3 since I've started with them. And that's like actually on the track. Frost is out or going out. We start shaping the track. A lot of times it's in March. So I just tell people every weekend from March through October, I'm at the track. Like, we've got our off weekends, but like you can guarantee that over half of my weekends, even in the off season months, are spent at the racetrack doing something. So, like, for instance, right now, we're actually doing a little side project I normally help out with anyway. I guess before I get to that, I'm going to give them some love. Mo and Skeeter, they do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. They're in the maintenance department. They put campers away. They get all the stuff ready for the fair. They run around and do whatever the fair board's, I'd say, like honey-do list is. Like, there's a lot of stuff that needs done. It's a big facility, and they run around and they just go around and do whatever needs done. And I'm usually looking for hours of work because I get bored easy, and so I've helped them out plenty of times. Like sweeping the infield, taking tires out, to hauling away scrap metal. This time it's replacing guardrail, and so my boss Chris actually took that on this winter or fall. Mo's got a lot of stuff to do out there, and Skeeter's super busy with work, and he's doing some family stuff, and like it's a task, and it's usually just been those 2 guys with a fair board member or 2, and then I show up when they ask me to, and so it's a big undertaking. I'd say right now we just started. I'd say last week Wednesday-ish, I think. We tore off every bottom rail of guardrail from turn 4 pit gate to turn 2 pit gate. We're replacing every ounce of the triple, and then there's quite a few doubles in there that are on the second row above, and then there's a few others that are miscellaneous in the corners that are up high. That's not to mention like the wood post or the metal post. Those we will address later once we get all the guardrail done. But we are taking that on currently. So we've got about, I'm guessing, roughly 160-ish pieces of guardrail that's going in. There's about 135-ish on the bottom alone that's a continuous run, and then there's 20, 25, I'm guessing, others. Roughly. We might find more. So that's our project right now, and we spent all weekend out there. We've been working till dark. I actually went and borrowed our excavator from the farm, and mini excavator, and I sat between the chain link there in turn 1 and the guardrail, digging out because the bolts for the bottom guardrail were 3 foot deep in dirt. They've got that banner that sits there, and all the mud hits it, and like none of us like manual labor. I'm like, I got diesel powered machinery. So we had Mike Profit, like the tech guy. He made a I'll call it a special or a fancy drag. That's, you bring it underneath the bottom guardrail piece after you take it out. You can pull dirt back. We got the graders going. We got 2 skid loaders going. I had the mini excavator going. Had a guy in our racetrack dump truck. So a lot of dirt to get moved, a lot of bolts and stuff. But aside from that project, our dirt work is we reshape it in the fall as well. Like we get it close. So like, turn 1 and turn 3, the dirt gets pushed through where you guys pitch the cars in, and it cups out more. And so the dirt's always lower there. So we usually split the track in half to a point. Like all the back chute dirt and turn 4 dirt gets pushed into 3, and then the front chute and turn 2 gets pushed into turn 1. So that's like a rough reshape. We usually let it sit there over the winter, and it'll do whatever it does, and we'll just start working on it in the spring. Chris and I, for the last, I don't know how many years, we've got a rope, and it's specifically for measuring the racetrack. So every year, probably twice a year, I'll walk around the top side. That way it's not my fault. I can just rub my hand on the guardrail the whole way around, and he's down there, and we've got knots tied, so he knows exactly where he wants them. And we got some locate flags, and we stick them in there, and then we take the graders and we cut it too, and then so we get our actual width of the racing surface, and then we blade it and shape it and start getting it hard again. And then maintenance, we do our own, hydraulic oil. Well, depending on how systematic you want to get, like we're not doing a transmission of a grader, but like we replace all the filters on them. We do all the oil changes. We grease them, like what a typical, farm operation would be, but for all of our equipment. So we service all that stuff in the fall. We power wash it. So there's just prep work and maintenance and winterizing that we have to do. Like all of our small engine pumps and our water stuff, we drain all that so it doesn't freeze. And so yeah, there's always something to do, and sometimes we just help out those maintenance men. Like
you winterize the racetrack. I mean, like you'd winterize the camper. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. We get the track put to where we want it, and then all of our equipment and everything too. And like right now, we just changed the gear. I didn't help on this one, but Terry and Chris just changed the gearbox lube on the tillers and stuff. So the equipment's only as good as you keep it, and we want to keep it in good shape because we rely on it. Just like them tillers are really handy. When it rains, we can till the infield, and then it's got a whole bunch of like little whiskers that stick up like itty bitty windrows. Let the sun and wind hit it, and it'll dry it out. Or just like we do on the racetrack, you can till. You can add water to it, and it stays super wet. So that tiller is like a 2-in-1 piece, and we use the crap out of them. So.
It's a lot of good information there. You actually took one of my questions that I was typing out while you were talking. So that's really interesting. We did get a comment from one of the push truck drivers, Sean. I think that we could probably touch on this a little bit. So it seems like turns 1 and 2 is wetter than 3 and 4. Does that go into like with the guardrail in 3 and 4 kind of shading the track?
That is, yeah. And so turn 1 and 2, I put more water down over there. Well, the sun hits it. And typically speaking, the wind hits turn 2 most of the time. So it goes to that element effect of Mother Nature, sun and wind. Well, both of them hit turn 2. And turn 4, even if the sun was 12 o'clock noon right over the center, turn 4 typically is narrower most of the time. So we go fast. Well, I don't run a PTO style truck. I run a constant flow. Doesn't matter my ground speed. So I speed up in turn 4 to put less water down or shut it off completely because it doesn't like to widen out. I'm sure Cade's gone through 3 and has to go down often. So we try and manipulate that as well. So, but then it's like 2 different tracks because turn 4 is super narrow, super heavy. And then we go to turn 2 and you're breaking beadlock. You're rubbing the beadlock on the guardrail. So they're 2 different worlds just on the other, the other side of the racetrack. And so yeah, turn 1 and 2 gets more water put on it. It usually has more dirt left there. So because we want it to be even, like come feature time, we want a consistent racing surface. So we try and manipulate that as the best we can. Obviously we don't always get it, but that would be correct. So.
Okay.
I thought it was Blake's turn. I'm just sitting here waiting on him.
Oh, well, I just wanted to ask about nationals, just in general. First of all, I guess we could talk about both nationals because you kind of talked about the prep for nationals. So that we got out of the way, but let's talk this year's nationals. 410 nationals, rain was a mess. I mean, that Saturday, we just didn't know what was happening. The start time kept getting moved up, back. The beginning was just really weird. I mean, I think the feature turned out the best it could with the conditions you were given. But, the first couple features were just weird. The track was very different. Explain that process, what happened on that Saturday, and then talk about late model nationals. Obviously, with late models, there is no berm. You just kind of flatten it out. Kind of talk that process saying, hey, let's not do a berm. Obviously, the car is the reason you don't do the berm, but just kind of talk about nationals, kind of how they went this year.
Well, taking the words from my boss, nationals, when you race on the track day after day after day, if you've got it right the first night, it makes it easier for the rest. Because if we have a major hole in 3, or I don't know, maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago, turn 3 was coming apart like a third the way up entering, and we didn't like it. And so we took blades and tillers out there, and we tried peeling that top layer off and getting it in. And the next night, just because we hate it separating. Like if you get a blemish, it's not a huge deal, but like when the track's slabbing out and coming apart, like way back when it did in 15 with that older dirt, if you just have like these big old chunks that would fly out, and like, I don't know, it makes it characterized, but not what we want, I guess. So if we've done our job most of the year, and we've been able to cooperate with Mother Nature, there's hopefully we have a good first night and we can race on it continuously. But it just makes it a pain, because if you've got a harder surface from the night before, like goes back to the consistent dirt. Well, if you've got a hard surface here and then a soft here and then another hard over here, well, you can't just throw loose material in here. It's going to throw out again. So then you've got to kind of, Chris has to cut out the hard stuff and we have to layer it in. But we don't have like vibrating cheap foots that's on a roller and stuff. Like it's just tractor, and we pull them behind. So not really the perfect method like in the road construction world, where we've got tools like, oh, this spot needs done more. Well, at the racetrack, we just try and be as consistent as we can.
Which, real quick, sorry to interrupt, that's kind of why when we saw the issues at Eldora, why it was kind of like that from the get-go in turn 1 with that big hole. You're kind of in a big problem spot, because
sure.
you can't,
Yes.
to your point, you can't just fill it in and you're good, right?
Right. Yeah. You can't just fill it in. And we've had times like them. Like, I mean, I think sometimes we forget, like in the world, but like 2018 Nationals, underneath the scoreboard, we had a massive rut, lap 3 on David's motor. Or I guess it was lap 3 of the feature, but he like snapped the crankshaft. And then also in 2018 in turn 1, Austin McCarl, the year he won that championship, he come in there and we had a massive rut in the entering 1 up there. It would be, I don't know, 30 feet long or something. And you can't just get rid of them overnight. Like we try, like we'll put dirt in it and we'll sheet put it in and we'll layer it. And we, one of the tricks that Chris has taught me is like, just put less water on it throughout the day. Like it's going to stay wet and soft and keep throwing out if you leave it wet. So harden it up. They'll just slide over it. Because if they keep rutting it out, then you're starting over from square 1 again, and you're just beating a dead horse. So, like if you get a soft spot in the middle of turn 1, which we do sometimes, which you guys may not always notice it, but we do. We're driving big equipment. We can, tight blade it and then not water it most of the time, and then put enough on at the end, and you guys just slide right over it. And we can hide some stuff that way, I suppose. But it's also, I mean, to me, it's also a little bit safer. You're not coming in there and you're rocking the car. You can just, you guys like that?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I love it.
Yeah, I'd say Wednesday, Thursday are probably fairly normal nights for us. You're going to have 50 410 sprint cars. So we prep it kind of like Saturday night. There's not as many laps. So that goes into effect for what we try and do. Friday night of Nationals and Cappy night are big wearers on the track. Saturday seems huge because it's 50 laps, but I mean, I don't know. I used to do a lap count for it, but Cappy and Hard Knocks night are two very abrasive night, and the one before, like with the old All Stars night. Yeah. That's those. It kind of tells you what you're going to have for Nationals, like having those 2 nights. So it's kind of like a practice night. Not we take them seriously. I just mean practice night, as in gives us information for what it will be in the next week or so with what we've got. So really, it's usually just the same motion. It's just, like if you let's go back to that pie recipe or baking a cake, you either add a little bit more cinnamon or you take some away. But it's our own variables that we play with. And then like for Saturday Nationals, you were talking about the rain projection and everything, and everybody wants to see a race on a Saturday. I mean, no, I don't think anybody wants to wait till Sunday. And we don't have a call on this. This is just my opinion. But if we're all there for the Nationals, we're diehards. And I don't care if we start at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, we're here for a race. Let's get it. Let's be done and let's go home. Sunday day shows they're terrible. Day shows are just not conducive. Even the late models who say that they like it dry slick, we had that day show and it laid rubber. I mean, it's terrible. So we absolutely hate a day show. We absolutely hate rubber. So we always tend to lean towards the side of more moisture. Like, if it's going to be narrower, it's because of us, not because of Mother Nature. Like, and so to the point of Saturday with the rain, the thing's been raced on 8 times. We've beat the crap out of it with a sheep foot. You're not going to get any more water to soak into it. So, I'm quoting my boss here again, but it doesn't matter if it rained a 1/4 inch or 10 inches. It's going to run off the track. The infield, different story. The fans in the stands, the outside, the campers, there's a lot of factors. But the racetrack itself, it could pound rain, and it's not going to soak in. It's just going to run off. So, just like I'll date back. Our opening night, we had everybody wanted to call it the mist out or the rain out. Well, I got news flash. There was cracks in the track because it was too dry. You could take your foot and you could swipe it, and it'll turn a little bit of a lighter brown. Way too wet. Chris and I built a mister on the back of my truck this winter, and I dumped about 1,000 gallons of water on the track in an hour and 10 minutes. And some of the outlaw people were screaming and crying and, well, newsflash, you could go out there with the 4-wheeler and do a wheelie because it was not slick. It was not muddy. It was dry.
I do remember that because there were videos of you watering the track while it was misting, and everyone's like, what are they doing?
But what nobody looks at, look at the push trucks. The push trucks rolled the track in like 9 minutes. Normally it's 45 or a half an hour, depending on what we do. But it was drier for that than for a 4-car track rental. Because we roll the track on a track rental with the 2 water trucks and a wobble wheel and usually 2 push trucks. That night was not because on lack of effort for us. It can be safety conditions for a lot of things, but we did the best with what we could, with what we had, and trying to appease, hey, we still got to prep for a race. We were just keeping the top wet. If we were going to race, it was, we probably would have had to do something. It was not going to last all night, even though it's a black clay. And if you get it a little bit damp and you put clouds over it, it looks wet, but it was not. So kind of tying into the Nationals deal, water's running by 5 p.m. anyway. You're just trying to keep the top wet. It's already got all the moisture down below. They're going to buzz through it and, go through the progression like normal. But so for us, it was, seeing what Mother Nature was going to do, but then there's outside noise and people are also trying to deal with the same thing we dealt with on that first night of like, well, we can't do this because of fans. We can't do this because of the cars. Can we wait till here? And like, well, if we were to wait till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon to put water on it, it never rained. So we would have had a rubber down show in the C main. And it just goes to show that, I don't know what a 4-off wheel is, and they don't know what prepping a racetrack's like, even though we all work at the same facility. So Chris has taught me a lot. And one of the things is like, stay in your lane. Well, okay, you do what you know how to do and don't worry about what I do. You hired us to do what we need to do. You have your role. And we're all a family. We're all important at the track. Knoxville is what it is because of everyone that's dedicated to be there. So it doesn't mean that one person's better than the other. It just sometimes we just need to realize like, hey, I announce, I race, I'm Josh, and I water a track. So
Got him.
I mean, in a respectful way, but I mean, sometimes it's just annoying. Like, like
sure.
we can all give each other crap off camera and like, no hard feelings. But like, I don't know, if the announcer and the driver would be going at each other all the time, like you guys don't do anything close to what each other do. So like, let us do us. And secondly, Chris has been inside of that guardrail for almost 5 decades, 4.5 decades. Who's going to know more about it than him? Like, it doesn't matter what some crew chief or what some driver did. He has all the pressure on him. He has all the information. So what, I mean, it's just like everybody being mad about the president or this or that. Like, well, they should do this or we should. Sorry, this is what we're going to do. So then to go to late model nationals.
Yeah, talk about the berm here for late model nationals.
Yeah, so that berm, Chris must have called me up on like a Tuesday or something. We cut the berm way down. Main reason is those late models, the nose wings, they're not nose wings, sorry, the noses of them, they would hit it and they would actually like bend stuff and curl it in, and I mean, not conducive for those guys. We have a tall berm because drivers will get, even when we have our tall berm, Davey sometimes would get up on there and plant his right rear in the bottom. Well, we don't. That's the berm is not the racetrack. Like, we understand people put their left front on there and we adapt with times and whatnot, but it was not conducive for them. They didn't like it. It wasn't safe. They thought we would have some better racing this year if we cut that down. And they're not breaking their equipment. So sure, we cut it. Oh, I don't know the percentages. Maybe it was 20% or something instead of like 60. So we cut a lot off. And I don't know how to run all these comments, but yes, Sean, I put the berm back the next day. We had a Dennis Albaugh track rental.
Yep.
On Sunday, which was really cool. He's a big ambassador of the sport. Sponsors several drivers, highly invested in Iowa and dirt track racing, and he sponsors Matt Morrow. And he's like, Matt, I want to drive a race car. And so Matt and I have been talking. Matt and I are buddies, and we talked about it. I'm like, I think the best time to do it's the day after a race. We don't have to do any prep work. I can sprinkle some water on there so it doesn't blow dust, and he can just go out there and make his laps. And I don't know how many laps he went around there, but it seemed about like 50.
There will be a video about it. They're working on a video about it right now.
Yeah. I did see that. Yeah, that was. Yeah, Tony was there. It was pretty. Yep. It was pretty cool. Just the smile on his face when he got out of the car, and he was like a 3-year-old in the candy store. It was amazing to see. So it's kind of cool to not really. I'm not gonna say that I gave back, but it's kind of cool for the sport allowing him to enjoy it for what he's doing for the sport. And there's many others like him doing the same stuff in the sport, but. Right after that Dennis Albaugh rental, we got back in the blades, and I started pulling that berm back, and we're going to put it back like Knoxville. We pushed the berm out again. We're going to cut it into our rope measurement process and be back in shape because we always work on the berm. Like, so us cutting the berm back, maybe that was going to be another question. That won't affect what we're going to have next year because the track gets wider throughout the year because you could blame it on the stupid water truck guy who slides down and smashes the berm and it slowly gets pulled in. And then in order for him to get the right taper on it, he straddles it with the road grader and keeps pulling material up. Well, every time I smash it, he's got to pull that material up 6 inches further in. So we always rebuild the berm each year outward. That way it's the correct distance with whatever each year, so it's consistent. So each start, and it should progress about the same throughout the year.
And so that was for late model nationals. How different do you have to, or what, if any, difference in your process, like leading up to and through the late model nationals week? What's different, if anything, for late models versus what you do for your sprint car races?
The pre-watering the day before would be the same. The process of blading and sheet footing the track would be the same. Tilling might be a little different. Might till the bottom a little bit wider because they don't have the same stance as we do with a sprint car. So we might need to make it wider for them to stick better because, if we're getting up on the berm and they're not. So play with that a little bit. The cushion, I believe that we till it higher entering in the corners because they don't pitch the same as us. I mean, they'll pitch and then they don't keep pushing throughout the corner. So just minute differences. Really, it's pretty much the same method. It's just changing a couple of variables in that again. So probably a little bit less dirt on the track because they want it drier so they can slide around. They would rather it blow clean. So I guess to tie on that, I believe we have a lot of races. I believe it was the Thursday race for them, we didn't put a lick of water on it. Yeah, we didn't water the day before because it rained, and then on Thursday it had more rain, and we did not. I don't even know if I filled my water truck up, but yeah, that night that we raced and it was heavy, and we had
That was the rough night. Yeah,
that's when Hudson took a hell of a ride.
Yep.
We did not put 1 ounce of water on. I didn't fill up a water truck the day before or the day of. That was all Mother Nature can do. And I would say that possibly I would lead to believe that some of that had to do with the fact that we hadn't raced in like 3 weeks, because the track will get softer. It'll open up more. It breaks down. It's not as hard. Because when we're sheep foot on it week after week after week, we can take abuse like that, if you would. And then, we sit idle for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it rains 3 inches or whatever it did, 2.5. It stayed wetter. It was cooler. It was more overcast. Just a lot of variables played into that happening.
Cool.
It seems like everything that I'm going to talk to you about today is just you guys getting shit on. But last year you guys got some new dirt, and it obviously threw you guys for a huge curveball. I think you would admit that it kind of took you guys a while to figure that out, which obviously it's going to take you some time to figure it out. But how much does that throw off your process? Like, say 2023, you had a certain process. How much different is that nowadays with the new dirt?
Yeah, I tend to compare it to you guys getting like hey, no more of this wicker bill, or hey, you're all running a medium tire, or hey, this is the new standard that's in effect today. Like, oh man, throw away that notebook. I don't know what to do anymore. We know what to do, but it's those fine-tuned details. Like the process is simple. I mean, you guys could all do the process we do, but it's all of the details that really make a difference, I guess. And with that, I don't know if the dirt, I don't understand soil. I just move a lot of it. There's
You mean you're not out there with a little test tube and you're testing it and stuff?
No, I do this. I play with dirt all the time. If you see me at the racetrack, there is a guarantee that at least 10 times a day, I'm just doing this with the dirt.
It's like that guy from Twister that uses the dirt to know the weather.
No, I tell people that I'm just a 3-year-old on steroids. My Tonka toys just got bigger, and I don't have to pay for the diesel. That's my motto. I think Chris is this dirt's really working back towards the way it was. I'd say in 2023, it's way more, mirrored in that aspect. I'd say the first, I don't know. Let's go through the end of June in 24. I don't know if the dirt had to break down or if it had to wear in. None of us are believers like, oh, there's not rubber in the track, or there's rubber in the track. Like, the rubber's going to dry up. It's going to blow away if there is. Like, it's not, also to that point, we use the same water that Cade and I drink and shower out of right across the street from the track is the same water that gets put on the track. We share the water main that goes to that place. So there is nothing fancy or nothing altered. It is drinkable water on a racetrack, no additives, no nothing, just working the dirt. And that soil that we got kind of reminded me of when we in 2020 we did a wetland project out at the farm, and all of the dirt that we took out of our pond got hauled out here, and it got put in turn one. There's about 70 loads. Well, in 2021, turn one was like hard as a rock, crowned, couldn't cut it, super slick, bang on the wall, and then you'd have tack the rest of the way around. Well, it was hard because Chris mentioned it was like 2 different racetracks that you're trying to prepare at the same time. Well, this stuff was kind of weird in the opposite aspect. Like, what it reminded me is just how different it was. It just like it threw us for a loop. I heard like, for instance, Joe Beaver's always a high side rider. Well, he'd said like the cushion that used to have like that tack strip down below it, but now I'm just like on crumbs and I'm just bouncing the sidewall off the cushion. And so we're like, we don't know why there's not grip there. And I don't know that we did anything specifically different to get that tack strip back. It's just that the dirt ended up breaking down or wearing in or something, and it had to go through a process. Racing on it enough times, blading it, maybe it got mixed in with old stuff. I mean, but in turn one, there's, we tend to get really low in turn 1 and 3. And so some places there's over a foot of new dirt when we put new dirt on the track. Like that year specifically, I think in the middle of the corner, right out from the guardrail where that drain is, we were like 16 inches low in the center of the track. We measured from the bottom of the guardrail to the drain. And like, if you put a straight line, we were over a foot low. So I don't know that I always believe that the old dirt's mixing in with the new dirt. I think it's just a process and you're going through things. And there might have been like a little, I don't want to call it powder, but like some silty stuff or something that kind of, washed away, and maybe all the fine stuff had to get, gone through. But this stuff is one thing I think is different is when we till it, it's like where we till, it doesn't tend to go away as much as it used to. Like in the bottom, if we tilled what we did, the old dirt to now, if we tilled a little bit then, it would tend to like fade away. Well, if we till a little bit now and you add water, it's like, well, that little bit just stays there longer. It seems like, or it did, but it's still, but it's hard to tell because each week's different too. And, but I also don't till the bottom. So that's my own, it's hard to tell because I'm just driving by on a water, but I don't, when he's tilling this wide or this wide, it throws the material up the track. So I don't really always know how wide he's tilling it or whatnot, but just it seems like where we would work the track or break it up seems like it stuck around longer and whatnot. So it was the learning curve. I mean, in some ways we didn't have to put as much water on it in the earlier part, but now we're back to where we're doing it like we used to, I would say.
Cool. Well, one final question for you here. You went to Australia, fun times down under. Did you learn anything? There you go. There's some of the pictures.
What you guys, my buddy Mikey and Gavin, and yeah, it was amazing.
Did you guys learn anything down there? I mean, do they really do anything different per se when it comes to track prep, or did anything stand out that you guys noticed?
Well, the irony of that is my buddy Mikey Rimmer, he does Perth.
Oh no!
Oh,
see ya.
No.
Well, we'll get him back eventually.
Talking about Australia, and they signed with. Oh my gosh!
I'm sure we'll get him back. We'll keep an eye on. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
What happened there? Was that?
I don't know. You got talking about Australia, and they cut you off.
Yeah, you guys all went blank, and
I don't know.
I guess I went down under. What?
There must be patented secrets that they're not allowed to share.
No, my Mikey got a hold of Chris in 2016, and he come over and he shadowed us for a couple of years. So he come over in 16, 17, and 18, and he still does the racetrack. Each track is so different. The soils, the equipment, like what they run. We only run sprint cars. So learn anything? Dirt side? I don't know. I observed another process. It was cool. Yeah. It was input. But, I think Chris would be the first to say he's not going to go to Eldora and make it the world's best racetrack. You have to know your dirt, your equipment, your cars. There's so much input that you have to have, and you just specialize in what you got. One thing I like that they do is you have to declare that you're going to race like by Wednesday the week before. So they know exactly how many cars are going to be there. They've got a cool fence repairing process. The purpose behind it for me going over there was to see my buddy Mikey, but also my grandmother. It's from Perth. So, and also I guess with that note, I'm going to throw some love to our guys as well. I mentioned first names, but we've got Chris Duncan, who's in charge, Brenda Duncan, his wife. You've got Matt Duncan, his youngest boy, who runs out there, the water truck. We got Terry Thomas, Remington Sykes, Reed German, Hunter Schneider, and myself. We do the process, and I think all of them need mention because they all have a hand in what goes on. And with that, the Friday of late models, I was there, and I got a phone call, and this is the family that we have. I got a phone call. So that the grandmother from Perth passed away that morning, and I just up and left and didn't even tell Chris and called Terry, you on your way? And yep. So he left earlier, came over there. I took the day off of work, but spent the whole day down on a tumble with Grandpa doing the thing. So to have a boss that is understanding, to have the guys that have your back, we can drop whatever, we can do whatever. We're all tight knit. We're all a family. We we go out to eat together. We do some like mini vacations and stuff. So I just wanted to give them the accolades too, because it's not just a one-man process. It's not Chris. It's not me. It's not Matt. It's everybody that throws a hand in there. And I'm going back to Australia. So
Hey,
going back again. Going to go down for a couple weeks. Work more races and see more and view more stuff. So that is, I'm looking forward to that. But for the dirt side, we just, Mikey and I, we converse a little bit, like what he does and what we see. And we, you just throw ideas off of each other. Like, I'm guessing, like Cade and Dustin, like, what do you do to win all these heat races, man? Like, love you, Dustin. You can just jostle ideas off of each other. And, just Chris would say Delansky and Lasowski, they would always come up to him and just give him information and vice versa. And like, because we're always trying to better ourselves. So I can't say that I took anything away specifically that we're going to implement. It's not really my call. I'm just observing and, learning what I can, and you can apply it in other ways. Just like, I work for the road department. When I'm blading a snowy road or blading snow on a highway, it's similar to like watering in the snow or blading mud out here in a grader. So every experience you get, you can apply elsewhere. And I'm just fortunate to have so many avenues to have them all interapply with each other. But so now I can't really say that anything take away from Australia other than a great time with good people. So
nothing wrong with that. And like you said, it takes a village. What were you going to say, Blake?
I was just going to say, it's been very informational. I mean,
Yeah,
it's still funny to me. We talked to Brett Moffitt for an hour, and I felt like there was a lot to talk about with Brett. And then Brad, you come on, and it's like, it's all so interesting. I mean, people just don't know the process. I think it'd be really cool if like 1 week, I know it's an extra thing, but if y'all took photos and just shared the process or video.
You want my
something.
Snapchat memory roll?
That might be
we did have we had plans. And I think we want to do this coming season. Not going to give it away, but we did have some plans with you and Cade. But unfortunately, the Saturday debacle with the weather and stuff kind of threw all that off. So
yeah.
I agree, Blake. That was fascinating. I think it would be very helpful for race fans and hell, even crews and teams and drivers to watch this, because there's a lot of information that we just went through. And like you said, Brad, one track is way different from another. We could have a whole different discussion about Husitz and what they're going to go through now with their new dirt and everything. So really appreciate you coming on and sharing that. It was very informational. Blake, you want to walk us through some results since we
Brad's gonna stick around like our guests have been doing. We're gonna run through all that we talked about, or all that's been going on. Obviously, we did not have a show last week, so we're gonna catch up on some of the stuff that we missed. We'll start out with World of Outlaws. They were at Millstream on the 26th of September. David Gravel picked up the win over Buddy Kofoid and Logan Schuhart. That was his 15th win of the season. He just keeps rolling on. The point standings are still, I think, about 150 points. I will say it did make me chuckle when I was watching the Outlaws the other night and they pulled up the points on the bottom right-hand corner in the middle of the race. Like that really mattered. I don't know. I just felt like, I was like, well, I mean, it's still 150 points. I was like, I don't think we need to go crazy. Gravel's getting into the territory where he should be able to clinch. He might be able to clinch before they get to Charlotte. It's very possible. But yeah, still very, very impressive. One of the biggest upset wins of the season, really, if you'd even call it an upset. Dale Blaney picks up the win at Sheridan, driving for his brother, Dave Blaney. He became the oldest World of Outlaws winner at 61 years old after charging from 5th to 1st and holding off Buddy Kofoid and Sheldon Hodenshield. I don't know if any of y'all went back or watched the race live or went back and watched it afterwards, but man, it was so cool to see him just run the bottom and just drive right around him. Like the car seems so planted. Obviously, he has a little bit different race car. I mean, the wings off-centered a little bit, still conforms with everything in the rule book, but it's kind of a science experiment, and it's just really cool to see Dale Blaney, of all guys, a 61-year-old, go out there and beat the best in the Outlaws. It was just really fun to watch if anybody else watched it.
Yeah, I caught it. That was one of the few races that I watched on my little getaway. And I mean, he didn't even start up front. He started, what, 5th or 6th, and drove by some of the best with the Outlaws. And that's not the first time that car's beat the Outlaws.
No.
Dave did it a few years ago. And
2021.
it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool seeing. Buddy was pretty pumped, and Sheldon was really excited to see Dale after the race. And he still got it, man. And then what did he say? He had to go leave to, what was it, Kansas? Because I guess
he's going to go see Ryan. Yep.
Dale, well, that and he drives AJ Allmendinger's bus.
Yeah,
so, back to work quick.
It's so cool. I mean, like, and to do it at Sharon, of all, like, when you think of Sharon,
Definitely.
You just think of the Blaneys. I mean, it's hand in hand. So, not the first time he has won this year. He has won this year in that car, but to do it against the Outlaws is just really cool to see.
And like his 7th race of the year, too.
Yeah,
it's like
hadn't really even been racing that often. High Limit went to Bridgeport on the 27th of September. Danny Sams III picks up his first career High Limit feature win. The race was only 10 laps. it was only 10 laps. Giovanni Scelzi led the early portions, and he just never left the bottom. Like, everybody, lap traffic was around him, and he just never really left. And Danny just drove right around the outside, and Danny Sams picks up the win. Cade's a win's a win. He celebrated like it was a big win. But 10 laps, I mean, I don't know. What are you going to do if you're High Limit? Like, you feel like you can't just cancel it, but I don't know. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing to call the race after 10 laps, but what were your thoughts on that?
That's a tough thing to do. Like you said, it's not obviously ideal that they couldn't just cancel it. I mean, they're too far into the night. You'd have to do a makeup show, and that's just a pain in the ass, I feel like. So I feel like that's honestly the right call. Like, he was leading when the race got canceled. I'm pretty sure NASCAR does that, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
halfway. Got to be halfway.
Is it halfway?
Yep.
Okay, so that goes out the window.
Well, that's the thing.
With dirt racing, though,
they only needed 5 laps, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, and dirt racing, I mean, it almost feels like if you take the green and you're able to get a lap complete or something, just because of, like what you said, with it being such a pain in the ass to try to get things rescheduled, because you're not going to go back out there, I think, for the rest of the year for High Limit. So it's almost impossible to get a makeup date. And
it was cool to see him be all giddy about it and posting pictures on Twitter of him sleeping with his trophy. I think that was probably the coolest part of that whole thing.
It's been a trying year for that guy.
Yeah.
When it'll start raining, or it'll start misting sometimes mid-race, and you'll see it in the lights, and then you're just kind of wondering, like, is there a point where, you guys, obviously the tower and the guys upstairs make the decisions, but is there a point that you guys look for, or is there a surface shine or something that you guys look for when you're like, okay, these guys shouldn't be out here. The rain has gotten to a point where it's not safe?
In my opinion, there is. And a lot of times, if it's happening while the cars are on the track, start buzzing them, because they're basically rolling the racetrack as it's raining. But if it comes down too heavily in a short amount of time and we can't keep up with it, then it's no longer safe for them to be out there, and then we'll have to go out there and re-roll the racetrack. And that's the worst time. And I would assume for any racetrack, but for us, we have all that loose dirt laid out, and then once we roll the track in and it's slicked off, even though it's heavy and slimy, but there's no more loose dirt. So just like a sprint car, for that loose dirt, they progress it up the track. Yep. Well, for us, when we're rolling the racetrack at a slower speed, that's holding us from sliding down to the bottom. So, you lose the racetrack like middle of a heat race and it just starts dumping water. That you've got to go through not a whole track rework, but it's the amount of moisture on the surface. And like if it's a drier night, we could probably absorb it, but when it's really black and sticky the whole way through, it loses itself really quick. And you can, like you said, looking up at the lights, you hit it on the head there. That tells you a lot. So
yeah. It's just always interesting because I feel like a lot of times we have raced when it's misting. I mean, not misting, but light rain. You can always see it up in the lights.
Yeah.
And then, only once, it was a couple of years ago when we had that red and then it just started downpouring. I mean,
what? And thank the man above, because if it wasn't for Jamie Ball's terrible wreck there in turn 1, we would have had 24, 25 race cars endo in the same corner at the same time. Like, unfortunate for the fire crew and all the drivers. I mean, everybody got to restart the race that, at the end of the year, but that would have been a bad deal. Kind of reminds me of that NASCAR race. We're like, hey, it's raining in 1, but not in 3, and they're gone. So
crazy. High limit the next night then went to Path Valley. Tanner Thorson claimed his second high limit win of the year in just 6 races. Kind of one of those things that if you win one, you just kind of get rolling. He got past Giovanni Selzy and Brad Sweet. Gio, man, so close. I don't know when it's going to happen, and it'll be crazy if it doesn't happen. But Gio has been so close here these last couple weeks. I kind of hope he gets in the second Clausen Marshall car. I just feel like it's a good pairing.
I agree.
But the points battle kind of tightened up. The points battle for the midweek series has tightened up. The Roto-Rooter midweek series, Rico Aber leads Tanner Thorson by just 6 points. Brad Sweet is 9 points out. Aaron Reitzel is 12 points out. And then Dason Pursley in 5th, 71 points back. So the Roto-Rooter midweek series is pretty close. The high limit point standings, Rico, barring anything crazy, Brad Sweet still has a chance. But it feels like it's going to be Rico and Brad. And then Brent Marks, 198 back. Justin Peck, Tanner Thorson, Aaron Reitzel. So points have been fun to watch. Aaron's just got to be kicking himself. I just feel like if Aaron didn't get hurt, boy, he'd probably be leading. I'm pretty sure.
Blake, quick for you. You had said Pursley. I don't know if the 4 Crown was before your last show, but Dason Pursley, if he would have pulled off that high limit race, he would have pulled a 5 Crown because of that 360 race the night before. And that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and I think it happened while we were talking, or maybe we definitely talk about it, but I don't think Josh and Kate, I don't think we really talked about that surface again. They fixed it. I mean, there was no bump in turn 1. It got back to what it was. I think that was a big testament to Tony and that whole crew. Like they weren't going to let that happen again.
They had the character kind of, it's a little bumpy usually, in 3, but there was no freaking hole sending people to the moon like it was earlier in the year. And a quick teaser, I think we are going to have, speaking of the high limit points in the midweek championship that's coming up there at Lucas Oil next week. I believe it's on Thursday. I believe we're going to get Brian Walker from High Limit. He's going to join us on Monday to do a preview of that. So got a tentative yes, but we're just ironing out the details. So that should be pretty fun because they are wrapping that up next week at Lucas Oil. Should be a good show. Really good races last time. You want to talk about track work. They knocked it out of the park for the sprint cars last time High Limit was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had the National Open at Williams Grove here in the just first week of October on October 3rd. It was a PA Posse sweep in night 1 of the Natty Open. Chase Dietz won his first career World of Outlaw feature. He's been dominant in PA. He wins all the time over there. And then Lance DeWeese gets on the podium, and then Dandy Dietrich gets on the podium. And everyone's like, holy cow, the Outlaws forgot to show up over in Pennsylvania. And then championship night rolled around, and then the Outlaws got back on track. Bill Baylog Night in America was almost a thing, and then it wasn't. He was really strong in the dash. Bill started at the front, led like 35 of the 40 laps, was getting through lap traffic, and then the track just kind of he plugged it in the cushion a couple times on 1 and 2, and Sheldon Hodenshield was able to get around. And then Danny Dietrich also got around Bill Baylog. Sheldon Hodenshield picks up the win in the National Open. Had to feel pretty weird. I mean, you win one of the biggest, most prestigious race of Sheldon's career by far and away. Like, this is the most prestigious win, not the most highest paying, but most prestigious. And you still don't know who he's driving for next year.
He might know, but we don't.
He knows for sure.
I have pretty good educated guesses about where he's driving.
Probably all do here. That was. I can't say I predicted Sheldon to win at Williams Grove and win the Natty Open, but man, Blake, you were really excited. You were getting really pumped up in the group chat.
Bill Baylog was going to win the National Open.
I think honestly, I think he was a little bit faster than Sheldon there on a couple laps as it winded down, but the cushion was just getting a little gnarly in 1 and 2, and like he said in his post race, he kind of started cheating it a little bit, and that was all that Sheldon and Danny really needed to get by him, but. It's going to be weird. I guess there's something going on with Ripper, his crew chief or former crew chief now.
Someone made a good point. They were like, mutually parted ways is kind of not a thing. You
Weird
can say
situation.
you can say that both sides were mutual, but in sprint car racing and in silly season, sometimes that's not the case.
Yeah.
And
But
unfortunately,
they're going to be
More
getting back together probably too. So it's a whole weird deal, that whole 17 thing right now.
Yeah, it's more often not mutual than mutual.
Yeah, usually not. Still really cool. Williams Grove should take a bow. It was a really good race.
Great
A lot of
track.
people, a lot of people don't think we should go there as many times as we do, but they really showed up. I wanted to touch on it. Kerry Madsen took an absolutely awful hit in turn 4. I didn't have my volume on at the time. Was his throttle hung? Was that was the reason
He said
that
something got stuck under or stuck on it and it was full throttle.
Really bad wreck for Kerry Madsen. He seemed okay, but just really tough wreck for Kerry.
I know I posted about it and texted you guys too. Really lucky he didn't leave the ballpark. There's not a catch fence there. Yeah. It's just the guardrail. And if he was above it, and if he clears that, it's really bad. So I don't know if maybe there's some catch fencing that needs to be extended there or what, but if he gets over the guardrail there, it was not going to be a good situation. So glad he was okay and was able to walk away because it was a pretty gnarly one.
Do we have any thoughts on the David Gravel blend caution? If anybody watched it. That was a topic of conversation. David Gravel, for some reason, just kind of slowed in turn 2, and then caution came out. He didn't spin, he didn't pit, didn't do anything. He just kind of blended back in and got his spot. And
Kate as a driver, it might be a little bit different than Kate as a podcaster here. I think if you bring out the yellow, you got to go to the back. I understand if you spin and keep going, but you still brought out the yellow.
Yeah, I did see something on his, I think it was on Facebook, that he hit a hole or some shit and the car jumped out of gear and he ended up getting it back in gear, which is why he blended in. Normally you can't do that. And it's really hard to get him back in gear because the engine's turning 0 RPMs by the time, not 0, but really low RPMs by the time it comes out of gear. And then your drive shaft is still spinning, or your rear end pinion is still spinning so fast that you got to try to line the two up and get it back in gear. And I've fortunately never had that happen, but that usually does not go very well for your engine or your rear end.
What do you think, Brad? What do you think of the blend rule?
Well, I didn't see it. I was more mechanically minded thinking. I'm like, well, it's kind of like when gear comes out in the semi and you got to rev the RPM back up. I'm like, is that the same thing in the sprint car trying to push it down? So I really don't.
Yeah, but you're only stuck in one gear.
But right, I get that, but I'm just like, how would they do that? So I was, my gears were turning about the gears turning, and I totally forgot about the blender.
Yeah, do you like the blend rule? Because he basically was slowed down, and he ended up dropping 12th or something like that, and they gave him his spot back.
I mean, I understand why they have it, but there is that rule. I mean, but then I don't know, where do you draw the line? We could talk about Selvage's wing coming off when he won the 360 race, or Austin's wing blowing apart this year. Your debris caused the yellow, but in our rule book here, you keep going. So if you're talented enough to keep it going and not wreck anybody else out, I see pros and cons on both sides of the spectrum. So and go back to what I said earlier with staying in your lane. We have officials that make these rules for a reason, and I'm going to let them make it. But I don't want to make
what
the
a
call.
Cop-out answer. What a cop-out answer. Jeez.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
You're used to 11:30 p.m. in the pit, huh?
Yeah, we'll hit end stream and we'll be getting the real answer here. No, I get it. There is definitely a safety side of it for sure.
It's just my honest opinion.
I know.
There's too many pros and cons to each side with all of their rules. I mean, you could, some people don't like Hans devices. You could complain about tethers. You could do this. Their primary goal is safety, and then second, drivers and viewership and stuff like that. So they've got a good reason as why they have the blend rule. It's more interesting.
Yeah. It's a big penalty if you spin out and keep going from third and you go to the back.
Complaining because it's gravel that happened to, or if it was Ashton Torres, would people be like, oh, all right, that's cool, or is it because it's gravel and he's 115?
The timing is.
I would more so go back to when gravel hit the cone at the Nationals rather than the blender rule. But I mean, everybody wants to pass that one to the side. So that's hi Kate. I see that smart.
I find it I find it really funny that just like last week, David actually released shirts that say his name and it says World of Outlaws on the back and it says Golden Boy on the back. It's bold.
That's weird.
It's bold.
Embrace it.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
bold by David Gravel to do that.
You know what? But Shock was the same way. So was Kinzer.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's whoever's the best at the time. You know, Jimmy Johnson. Everybody, you know,
Yeah.
NASCAR
Yep.
redid their playoff system for Jimmy, and he still won that every time they did it. So, you know.
The World of Outlaws point standings, David Gravel leads by 146 points over Buddy Kofoid. Macedo is third, 292 back, so pretty much top two is locked. Your top five is pretty much locked. Logan Schuhart is fourth, Sheldon Hodenshield is fifth, Donnie Schott sixth, Bill Baylog seventh. Garrett Williamson, our buddy who is currently leading the Kevin Gobrick Rookie of the Year contender by 78 points over Chris Windham. I don't know about y'all, but that has been a really fun battle to watch this year. Like every night, you're always kind of keeping an eye out on, all right, who made the feature, who's starting higher up. Garrett has had the better year. I truly believe that. He's been so close to a win, but
especially when you factor in some of those non-point races.
yeah,
He's
well,
really
that's the
been.
thing. He's been really
good.
good at the non-point races when Wyndham has not. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Good for the wallet, not for the outlaw points.
yeah. Macedo is 10th. Hunter Schoenberg, Zach Hampton is your top 12. Anybody see the Zach Hampton tweet about the fireworks?
Nope.
Did you see Bill Rose's?
Yeah, and then Zach Hampton tweeted about not liking the fireworks, and then the Bill Rose account said, "Here at Bill Rose Racing, we love the fireworks." And I was
I love
like,
it.
and then Zach retweeted it, but I was like, I think somebody got talking to.
Yeah, he got absolutely grilled on Twitter too. People were like gonna go burn his house down.
Yeah,
Hey, he gets reactions, man. He gets the reactions.
Yeah.
Another quick hitter from Sean here before we start wrapping up. Do we think the high limit's going to race at Knoxville next year? I think the easy answer is no.
Yeah, we've gotten this question several times before. It's just not going to happen. As long as we are a world racing group under that umbrella, it will not happen. Trust me, I'd love to see it. I think a lot of people would love to see it, but
I would.
I always say the same thing. I mean, yes, they bring in a wheel. Like, it's awesome what High Limit does. But just think, we are one of the few tracks in the country that get Outlaws versus High Limit weekend shows, not even nationals, but there are literal weekends when the Outlaws are here in June. High Limit takes those weeks off because they know, all right, go to Knoxville and compete with the Outlaws. I'd rather have that than just a simple High Limit weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I might be in the minority, but I like when they have to go against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, I mean, the Outlaws aren't going to take a weekend off that High Limits racing and let their guys use freebies. So, yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat that I like it a lot better when they race each other. And typically it puts on one hell of a show here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just a couple quick hitters here at the end. A little bit of racing here in Iowa, down in Donaldson, Iowa at Lee County. They had a doubleheader. It was a really good field, really good field. Obviously, some High Limit guys didn't go to Williams Grove. Aaron Reitzel was one of them. He stayed kind of home. Brady Bacon wins on Friday night. Good win for Brady at Lee County. And then a win for Aaron Reitzel on Saturday night for the Hawkeye Challenge is what they were calling it. Storylines just kind of throughout. Ian Madsen was back in the car, was hard charger on Friday night, podium on Saturday night. And then Emerson Axum, really the first kind of full week back in the 27 car, was really strong. Podium both nights. So really, really strong showing by Emerson Axum. Tony and I were talking about it this week. I would love to see Emerson Axum here full-time next year. I just think it'd be so cool. I think the car is good enough to do it. And then Hawkeye Downs. They put dirt on Hawkeye Downs. For the first time since 1994, we had a sprint car race there, and it was Tasker Phillips who came away with the win. And then it was Dustin Selvage, or JJ Hickle. Dustin Selvage rounded out the podium. And Tasker is your Sprint Invaders champion. $3,000 to him. I don't know if it's his first Sprint Invaders title or if it's his second. I'm not really sure, but Sprint Invaders was a lot of fun this year. Obviously, unfortunately, with Paul Nienheiser going out with the back injury, that kind of shook up the points. But boy, they had a really
been back,
fun
right?
year. Yes, yes.
He's been back in the car.
Yep. He has been back in the car. Almost was pretty competitive at the Fall Hall.
It's too bad that they don't stream. I wish that they were
so hit or
picked
miss.
up by someone. Yeah,
it's just so hit or miss. Bill Wright does a really good job calling those races for Sprint Invaders. Yeah. Did you have FOMO any this week, Cade, whether that be Lee County or Hawkeye Downs?
No. A little bit Lee County. Like I I've never raced there, but I've been there and watched a lot of races, and I feel like a 410 race there would be badass to race.
Yeah.
It's hunting season. Cade's over the race car.
I just don't have enough money to go travel to all these places.
Because you're spending it all on ducks and a boat.
No.
Your birthday was last week, right? We didn't record. How was your birthday?
It was good. We had a long day at work, and yeah.
27 years young?
Yeah.
There you go. 27 years young.
Pushing 30.
Make sure to go get Cade's new wingboard. I don't want to cheaply throw in that, but Josh has it in the background. It's a little blurry in the background, but the Knoxville Knights car wingboard is out on Cade's website. So really cool stuff. But
That's
Josh,
about it, boys.
Yeah, I think it's time to take us out. Fun night. Good to be
Definitely
back.
Definitely fun night. Yeah, it felt a little weird, Happy birthday to my wife, Allison. It was her birthday last week. That's why I was gone. But yeah, that was an odd occurrence. We will be back here every Monday. So
I could have done the show. Sorry, the Kansas race was pretty electric. I did kill my voice a little bit, but
Kate thought it was more important to work and make money, which is ridiculous, but we'll
insane.
Let you off. But no, for real, Brad, thank you for doing this. This was very insightful. I got a lot out of that. And like I said, I hope people pick this up and see it, because I think we can all learn a lot about what you guys do to get the best dirt racetrack on the world ready every week. Make sure, if you guys aren't already, follow us at Knoxville Knights. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, at Knoxville Knights with no O on Twitter. I'm at Josh_Gerlach, Cade's at Cade Higday, and Blake is at Blake_Walker8. You don't do socials really, do you, Brad?
I do. I'm not. I follow a lot. I'm more of a Snapchat guy. I blow Kate's phone up every morning, but my Twitter that I read and stuff, I'm all wingnut style. As that's not my handle, but I'm basically just Snap. I read stuff, but I'm one of them, I don't do flow or dirt vision, not because I dislike either, but I'm more of the authentic fan. If I'm going to go see a race, I'm going to go see it in person. Otherwise, I'll catch the highlights on the news the next day. So I would rather travel the 3 to 4 hours and go see it in person, just the old school vibe. Technology helps but kills our sport, so I'd rather pay the funds to the actual track. So that being said, I read all the stuff online, but no, I'm not a big social guy, so.
Well, you can catch Brad ripping around the Knoxville Raceway in the water trucks.
You can hear my fan blowing out the white water. Yeah.
He's usually sliding through the corners.
Or my voice, as Cade knows. It's like a full spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Man. Yeah, thank you. It's been a fun time. Like I said, we'll be back here next week at 7 p.m. Central Time. Have a good rest of the week, guys. Take care.